Do not watch this video if you think time travel is impossible, because tonight we're going to revisit one of the strangest real mysteries ever recorded on the internet. A story that starts with a single anonymous post in the year 2000 and ends with an investigation that uncovered lawyers, hidden companies, and a secret about an old IBM computer that almost nobody in the world knew. This isn't a legend. This isn't a creepypasta. This is the real case of John Titor, the man who claimed he came from the year 2036 and left behind details that experts still can't fully explain. It begins on November 2nd, 2000. A user appears on an internet forum called the Time Travel Institute. The username, John Titor. The message, short, direct, cold. I'm a time traveler from the year 2036. I'm on a mission, and I will answer your questions. At first, everyone laughs. It's the early internet, the era of trolls, strange chat rooms, and anonymous identities. But then Titor begins posting diagrams, technical sketches, a full manual describing the mechanics of his so-called time displacement vehicle. He lists components, microscopic singularities, spinning gravity wells, variable event horizons. People begin to pay attention, not because they believe him, but because the details are too precise to be random. For 4 months straight, he answers every question. No hositaschen, no contradictions. He sounds less like a prankster, and more like someone who rehearsed this for years. Eventually, people ask him, "Why are you here? Why the year 2000? His answer becomes the core of the entire mystery. Titor says he was sent back to recover a specific old computer, the IBM 5100. At the time, the IBM 5100 was nothing more than a strange relic from the 1970s, a little suitcase-sized machine with barely any computing power by modern standards. But Titor insists on something shocking, that the IBM 5100 has a hidden function known only to a handful of engineers internally at IBM. A function that allows the machine to read, translate, and debug old computer code used in big legacy systems. A function that would be absolutely critical in his future. People immediately call him out. That's impossible. The 5100 doesn't do that. Except it did. A few years later, real IBM engineers stepped forward and admitted that the IBM 5100 did have that exact secret capability and that almost nobody outside the company knew, especially not random internet users in the year 2000. That single detail transformed John Titor from forum troll into a historical anomaly. How did he know something that even collectors, technicians, and experts didn't? Nobody has ever answered that question. After Titor vanished, people began digging. Who was he? Where did he post from? Was this all a hoax? The investigation led to something unexpected. A family in Florida, the Habers. One brother was a computer expert. The other? A lawyer. That same lawyer had quietly filed a trademark for the name John Titor. They had also created a company called Time Travel Institute, LLC. When confronted, they refused to explain anything. Some believe they invented the whole story to sell books and profit from the legend. Others believe they knew more or were covering for someone else. But here's the truth. There is no conclusive proof they created John Titor. No digital fingerprints. No Lichtgenfischen. No verified connection. The identity of John Titor remains officially unresolved. 25 years later, there is still no definitive answer. On March 24th, 2001, John Titor writes his final message. "This is the last time you will hear from me. Take care." And then he disappears. No goodbye, no conclusion, no final explanation. His account goes silent forever. Our story begins in the late 19th century. Ingersoll Lockwood was not a fantasy writer. He was an attorney in Washington, a political commentator, and a satirist. And yet, for reasons still unknown, he created a strange, fictional aristocrat, Wilhelm Heinrich Sebastian von Trump, known simply as Baron Trump. Baron lives in Castle Trump, a grand, towering estate built on wealth, privilege, and influence. A place described as rising above the world around it. A detail that would later feel eerily familiar to the real Trump Tower, the skyscraper where Baron Trump son of Donald Trump, would grow up. In Lockwood's novels, Barron is brilliant, precocious, restless, a gifted child trapped inside a life of luxury, isolated from the ordinary world. A description that mirrors the unusually private, sheltered upbringing of the real Barron Trump, raised inside a literal tower of glass and gold in Manhattan. Then everything changes when fictional Barron discovers an ancient manuscript written by the traveler Don Fong. Inside it, he finds a message. There is a world beneath this one, and you're destined to find it. With that, his journey begins. A young heir stepping beyond the walls of a towering home, pushed toward a destiny he does not yet understand. Guided only by cryptic instructions, Barron Trump leaves Castle Trump and travels to Russia. These novels were written more than a century before modern geopolitics, long before Russia would become a global focal point, and yet Lockwood places Russia at the center of Barron's transformation. In the story, Russia is not just a country. It is the gateway to the hidden world, the starting point of fate. The parallel is impossible to miss. In modern history, Russia becomes a recurring stage in political narratives involving the Trump family, not as fiction, but as global headlines. Barron is told he will recognize the entrance to the underground world, because the people will show him the way. Armed only with curiosity and his loyal dog Bulger, he sets off. What he finds in Russia is not just landscape, but a doorway, literal and symbolic, into something beneath the surface of reality. A journey from a tower into the unknown. In Barron Trump's marvelous underground journey, the boy reaches a hidden realm beneath the earth, a world within the world. His experiences there are surreal, dreamlike, and disturbingly symbolic. He meets civilizations unlike anything on the surface. Societies that communicate without speaking. Communities that live in perfect harmony. Others ruled by deception, illusion, or controlled narratives. Every chapter feels allegorical, as if Lockwood were describing the unseen layers beneath power, society, and human nature. Barron survives bizarre landscapes, strange creatures, and psychological trials. The deeper he travels, the more he questions what is real and what is merely constructed. His mission is not conquest, it is transformation. He must return changed, awakened, ready for a future he cannot yet imagine. A fictional boy descending beneath the world, and a real boy rising above it in a tower of steel and gold. Opposite directions, but strangely parallel paths. When these forgotten novels resurfaced in the late 2010s, the parallels stunned readers. A character named Barron Trump, living in Castle Trump, a towering stronghold of wealth. Echoing Trump Tower, the real skyscraper home of the Trump family. A young boy raised in privilege. A remote, isolated life. A destiny shaped by powerful mentors. A journey that begins in Russia. All written by a political insider over 100 years before Donald Trump's presidency, or the birth of his youngest son, Barron Trump. But the mystery deepens with Lockwood's third book, The Last President, published in 1896. It describes an unexpected political outsider rising to power in New York, followed by protests, unrest, and national divide. A fictional narrative, yet disturbingly reflective of real events that unfolded more than a century later. Coincidence? Pattern? Or something else entirely? These books were not prophetic, but they were precise. Too precise for comfort. Some believe Lockwood simply captured archetypes that reappear throughout history. Others believe he unintentionally described patterns of power, inheritance, and destiny. But a small group of researchers offers another theory, that these books form a symbolic map, a coded narrative about cycles of influence, rising towers, isolated heirs, and journeys that begin in the same places where history will later turn. Not predictions, patterns, echoes between past and future, separated by 130 years, yet somehow aligned.
Imagine this. A man walks into Wall Street with just $800, and 2 weeks later, walks out with $350 million. Not because he was a financial genius, not because he had insider connections, but because he executed 126 trades and got every single one right. Nobody in history has ever done that, but this man did. His name was Andrew Carlssin, a man who appeared out of nowhere in late 2002 and vanished just as suddenly in 2003. When questioned by investigators, he calmly claimed he wasn't cheating. He claimed he was a time traveler from the year 2256. He said he had access to perfect historical records. He offered future predictions, cures for diseases, and even the location of Osama bin Laden, in exchange for permission to return to his timecraft. A few days later, a mysterious man paid his bail, and Carlssin disappeared. No trace, no identity before 2002, no documents, nothing. Investigators eventually discovered the entire story originated from a satirical newspaper, the Weekly World News. But even after being debunked, millions believed it might still hide a secret truth. So who was Andrew Carlssin? Time traveler, hoax, or something stranger? This is the Stranger Archive, where reality is stranger than you think.